Today on The Spin, it's getting to the nitty-gritty in the NFL playoff push, the Eagles and Steelers battle for the Keystone State, and a possible Super Bowl preview in Motown. It's all next on The Spin. Hello, my friends. Ali Melendez here, and welcome to Sports Insider's The Spin. Thanks so much for joining us today. Well, today on The Spin, we focus all of our attention on the NFL, where, don't blink, folks, we enter the final month of the season. That's right. All kinds of playoff possibilities are out there as teams jockey for position, hoping for a shot at the Lombardi. I mean, hey, the Super Bowl is less than 2 months away. Time is flying. So crazy, right? Well, listen, Drew, Anthony, and Jonathan will get to the week's biggest games in just a minute. But first, a very quick shout out to our good friends at BetOnline. Now, all of our odds here on The Spin are provided by BetOnline, the world's most trusted betting platform and number one source for everything, and I mean everything, football. So thank you so much to BetOnline. We appreciate you as always. All right, it's game time, people. Here's Drew Butler, Anthony Becht, and Jonathan Casillas. Welcome, fellas.
Thanks so much, Ali. Drew Butler here, joined alongside my guys Anthony Becht and Jonathan Casillas, taking a look at Week 15 of the NFL season. Cannot believe it's already Week 15, guys, and we have some incredible matchups to take a look at this week, and a couple of AFC, NFC tilts that could prove to be Super Bowl previews. So let's dive right in, and we're staying in the state of Pennsylvania to kick things off. The Pittsburgh Steelers heading east to take on the Philadelphia Eagles. Kickoff at 4:25 p.m. Eastern time over on Fox, and right now the Eagles are 4.5-point favorites. This totals 42 points.
Yeah, I love this matchup, guys. I mean, two just really close teams, but just the way they operate is much differently. And you got to look at the Eagles right now. Are they the most, pointed at team with issues that have won 9 straight in the history of the NFL? I mean, every time you see a game and they find a way to win, there's a problem. And now the new problem this week is the receiver and the quarterback not being on the same page. And it looks like a throwback to the McNabb, Terrell Owens day. It's just you can't get away from it. But again, they found a way to push through. But there is distractions that come with those things. Obviously, we all know that from experience internally, that sometimes those things burst and it could lead problems. But right now they're pushing through with 9 straight. Pittsburgh, on the other hand, 6-1, won their last 7. Everything seems to be functioning properly. Of course, their leadership is great. The one thing about it that I've seen that I noticed with Pittsburgh is 2 weeks ago when they had to get in a shootout, they were able to get that done with a 44-point performance against Cincinnati in a close game. You know, I just think there's some things to be said about Philly at home, the fan base. They really play well. They haven't lost a game there this season. Pittsburgh, again, you know what the big part about them is they're getting to the quarterback, bringing them pressures, but the run game for the Eagles and Saquon really does pose problems for when you're talking about rushing the quarterback. So it's a little bit more strategic on how they play. I think it's going to be a close game. I do believe the Eagles win this one, guys. But I'm going to take those points on the Steelers here on the road. I think they're going to keep it close.
Yeah, man, we all try to figure out what happened to the Philadelphia Eagles last year when they started out 10-1. They just fell off the face of the earth, right? Same players, same team again this year. And they have, I think Brandon Graham let us into a little secret over there. Maybe spilled the tea a little bit too much. You know, there's dysfunction. You know, when you talk about a really good wide receiver and a really good quarterback not being on the same page, you mentioned it, Terrell Owens, Donovan McNabb, there's dysfunction there. And on the other side of that, you look at Mike Tomlin and what he's done in Pittsburgh, there's no dysfunction there. The culture that he has over there compared to the culture that Sirianni has. Now, look, you want to take the teams and see who's the most talented. I think you give the nod to the Eagles, but I don't like dysfunction this time of the year, you know, and then news just got out. I don't like it. I think the Steelers, if you want to put a little bit on the money line with the Steelers, because that group over there, that locker room is tight against a locker room that's not so tight, give me the Steelers 9 times out of 10.
Yeah, you bring up a great point, Jonathan. Culture disruption this time of year, not very good. Anthony, you mentioned it. Eagles winners of 9 straight. They showed a bit of vulnerability last week, squeaking by the lowly Carolina Panthers, albeit the Panthers a bit resurgent at the moment. And the Steelers are 10-3 against the spread so far this season. Mike Tomlin 5-0 straight up as an underdog throughout 2024. So you got to love the Steelers in that underdog role. The Eagles on the flip side, 8-5 against the spread, and they are leaning heavily on Saquon Barkley. a surefire MVP candidate during this season. And you got to think with the Steelers pass rush, the Eagles are going to continue to lean on that run game. The pass game has been an issue. Jalen Hurts in the last 2 games combined, guys, 226 passing yards. He's been sacked 6 times as well. I think the Steelers defense is going to be able to continue to frustrate the Eagles offense, and they'll do just enough, Russell Wilson and the crew on the offensive side of the ball, to keep this one close and possibly win. So we all like Pittsburgh here plus the 4.5. All right, this is the Super Bowl preview that everybody is talking about. It's going to be an electric matchup in Detroit. The Buffalo Bills taking on the Detroit Lions, 4:25 p.m. Eastern kick over on CBS. The Lions, 1.5-point favorites at the moment, Anthony. This total much higher at 54.5.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, this could arguably be the Super Bowl matchup preview. I mean, both of these teams are electric. Both of these teams are primed to make a run. And both of these teams can score points. And, you know me, when 2 teams come together and they're very close, you know what we got? We got a popcorn game. And this is where I say, man, the only people that are going to be putting money on this game for their particular team is a fan. No one in their right mind is willing to actually pick a team here and say, hey, I can honestly say that this team can beat this team and give those justifications. I'm going to try here, but it definitely will be close. Detroit, 11 straight wins. I mean, listen, the coaching staff, everything about it, the leadership. I mean, you're talking top to bottom. Everything is aligned. Both of their coordinators are going to be on NFL teams next year, head coaches as well. Everything is there for them to make the run. The one thing that stood out about them is they have scored at least 50 or 40 points 4 times this year, 3 times at home. 52 twice they've scored. So they're going to score points in particular at home. The Bills, on the other hand, 7 straight wins outside of their loss against the Rams, and they scored a ton of points there. So I'm going with this, guys. The Bills have scored 30 points at least in 7 straight games. I don't care what you say about this game. 54, 55, 56 points. 60 is going to be the number to me where they're going to get minimum in this game. I'm going with the over. I'm taking my popcorn, and I'm enjoying this one as they score points for all 4 quarters.
Yeah, I hear you, man. I'm excited about this matchup, man. You got 2 real heavyweight contenders, playing this late in the season from the AFC and the NFC. The Lions have been that staple. The last couple of years, they've proven that they are a team to reckon with. Dan Campbell, he got those guys believing. That culture up there is solid. And then the Josh Allen-led Bills. I mean, every single year, those guys are in contention. They're talking about, them being the representatives out of the AFC. I think the last 4 out of 5 years. And I think this is the year they probably be able to do it. But this is a huge test for them. Going up to Detroit, playing on the road. Let's see how they fare. And I'm with you. I don't really want to pick a team, but I think I'm going to do it. Give me Detroit at home. I think Sonic and Knuckles, with those 2 running backs that they have, I think they can run the ball on anybody in the NFL, and they can score points on anybody in the NFL. And look for, this game to be a high-scoring affair, like you said, Anthony. Get your popcorn ready, but give me the lines. I'll lay the 1.5 at home.
Yeah, 2 of the best teams in the NFL here, guys. It is going to be electric, no doubt about it. Lions do have a rest advantage. They played last Thursday night, and the Bills had a long road trip out west to L.A. Love these elite offenses, led, of course, by Josh Allen and Jared Goff. Last week, 6 Lions players had at least 5 receptions, the first time that's happened in NFL history. And Buffalo scored 42 points last week, most in franchise history in a losing effort. I think the Lions are going to lean on Montgomery and Gibbs. As Jonathan said, Sonic and Knuckles. Home field advantage should be elite and electric, no question about it. Expect the Lions to slow this game down, really grind it out. It's going to come down to who makes the mistake in the 4th quarter, and I think the Buffalo Bills on the road will make that mistake. It's rest, it's home field, it's momentum. I love the Detroit Lions here, and Dan Campbell and crew, I'll lay 1.5 with Detroit. All right, let's finish things up with some Sunday night football. Out in the Pacific Northwest, the Green Bay Packers heading out to Seattle to take on the Seahawks. 8:20 p.m. Eastern time kickoff over on NBC, of course. Anthony, we got a primetime home underdog. The Seahawks catching 3 at home. This total, 46 points.
Man, every time you say it and lure me in, I think we're going to roll with that here. Listen, these are 2 good teams. They're fighting for their lives. Seattle's trying to stay on top of their division. They definitely are doing their part here as they've won 4 straight games. They really, when I look at their schedule, I hate saying this because there are no really bad teams in the NFL because you can be beat any week. But their schedule has been, for lack of a better terms, favorable to them in what they've played the last, several weeks of the season, let alone the entire year. The Packers, of course, have been battle tested the last couple of weeks. They've won, they've lost a couple. They're in the mix. They're in the toughest division, right? Arguably, from a record standpoint, they're going to get 3 in probably in their division. So when I look at both of these teams, I really see 2 teams that are hungry. They get it. They got good plans. They're coached well. And there's something to be said about playing at home, I think, in this one. Seattle has a chance to beat a really good team at home. And I think for them, they want to continue to keep that separation. You want to win the division. The Packers are good. They got a great offense. They got great players. I just think Seattle right now with at home at this one is going to be the strength of this team. They're going to get their fan base. The 12th element is going to be huge in this one. Of course, I'm taking the home dog here, Drew. I'm going to take those points all day. I think Seattle wins this game straight up.
Yeah, I'm with you, Anthony. Look, these 2 teams are basically the same teams in different divisions. These are teams that are not at the top of their division, but they're fighting for their playoff position. These are 2 playoff teams that are going to play a heck of a game when they play. Seattle at home. Let's see if those crazy 12s are a factor. I know when the Giants played up there not too long ago, the 12 wasn't a factor, and they had a lot of offensive penalties over there on that side of the ball, which you expect them from the road team. If they're not a factor, then I think Green Bay can win this game, but I don't think that's going to be the case. I think the 12 is going to be a factor. I love the way they're playing ball right now. You're really seeing these teams that are playoff bound. They're rising to the top. They're playing some good football at this time of the year, and both of these teams are doing that. They're winning the games they're supposed to win. There's some tough games on their schedule, but they're still doing their thing. I like Seattle here because they're the home team. It's a toss-up for me, but I like Seattle because it's a home team. I think they can do some things with Jordan Love, make him make a couple mistakes, and go ahead, and I think that would be the reason, a couple mistakes by Jordan Love, that Seattle wins this game outright.
Yeah, going to be a great matchup here. Always love the 12s, although they haven't really been that elite this year. The Seahawks just 3-4 at home this season. They are, however, on a 4-game winning streak, including 3 divisional opponents, which has been key for them in their playoff positioning. The Packers do have a rest advantage. They played the Lions last Thursday night. Is Kenneth Walker going to be available for Seattle? He is dealing with a calf injury. And on the flip side, Josh Jacobs, Green Bay Packers running back, he has been on an absolute tear as of late. The Packers' losses all season long have been to better opponents. I think the Seahawks fall in that category. The Seahawks defense has been suffocating all season long as well. I think Seattle shows an urgency to keep up the pace in the NFC West. They're fighting for their playoff lives. It's a primetime home underdog. Anthony, you know where I'm going. Give me the Seahawks +3 at home on Sunday night. Going to be an excellent weekend of NFL action. All lines right here on the Spin Sports Insiders, of course, brought to you by Bet Online. For my guys, Anthony Becht and Jonathan Casillas, I'm Drew Butler. Allie, we'll throw it back to you.
Awesome. Thanks so much, guys. Drew, Anthony, Jonathan, the best of the best. And yes, it certainly looks like another amazing week in the NFL that I am so excited about. Well, my friends, that is all we have for you today. But before I sign off, a big thank you once again to Bet Online for providing all the odds on today's show. And of course, I've got to tell you about Bet Online's $25,000 college football playoff bracket contest. All you need to do is pick the winner of all 11 games in the 2024-25 college football playoff, beginning with the first round. Now, the contest is open now and runs through kickoff on December 20th, so go get in on all the action and, of course, get a piece of that $25,000 prize. And did I mention it is a free contest to enter? You gotta love it. So once again, head on over to BetOnline for all the details on the $25,000 college football playoff bracket contest. Well, my friends, for real this time, that is it. But join us next week as Danny Kanell joins Drew and Gabe for a deep dive on the opening round of the college football playoff. And of course, the biggest games in the NFL with Drew, Anthony, and Jonathan. So enjoy what should be an absolutely epic weekend of football action, my friends. Thanks so much for joining us, and we'll see you next time right here on Sports Insiders The Spin.